Come take my hand, let's go to Comic Sans. We're here for you when you don't have any better plans. Let's talk money, art, and race. All are welcome, from a pretty mind to an ugly face. With stories right from the bottom of the state. Will surely be more fun than your Tinder date. So come take my hand, let's go to Comic Sans. Come take my hand, join us on Comic Sans.
Actually, guys, talking about our comic book, we've got stories. We've got a lot of stories, almost too many.
Really?
Some pretty good. We got a lot, especially characters.
Yeah, what kind of characters?
Oh, we've got like Captain Beast Guy, yeah. Super Donkey Feet. We got Super Donkey Feet. Yeah, he's got donkey feet. And then oh, the best one. The best one. Magical Wizarding Warlock Guy Stevens.
I run a guild of professional artists. Sometimes we can have many projects running at the same time. It's a lot of work. I'm also an artist myself. And I run a YouTube channel and website called Red Bandana Gaming.
Man, this is good.
Oh, what is that?
Welcome to Miami, the Zombie Years by Juan Navarro.
Well, interesting cover.
Yeah. I mean, I really want us to have our own comic, but I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Why would you say that?
I don't know.
You guys having problems with the comic all of a sudden?
What was that?
It's stuff.
I mean, it's supposed to be a collaboration, but apparently it's a Logan project.
It's more like she tells me what to do and I do it.
We can't agree on characters, we can't seem to agree on anything, and it's like his way or the highway.
Flip that.
Just compromise.
Easier said than done.
I mean, we discuss a story and then we start talking about the characters, and it's like, oh well, that's not how I see it, and it's not really the fact that he's not agreeing with me, it's the fact that he makes me feel like my ideas suck.
That's not the case. It's, I'm the artist, I'm drawing it. She's like, no, you have to see it this way.
I know what I'm doing. I've been writing for years.
It doesn't work like that. And then she makes me try to feel bad for, you know, giving my opinion. So who gives a crap if I want to draw a superhero?
So wait. My understanding here is you guys are having difficulties because you guys aren't talking to each other?
I went the extra mile to make this project work, but apparently no.
But her extra mile is, I'm going to ignore everything that we had talked about before and just come up with my own stuff and change it completely. So I can't really appreciate something if all my somethings aren't even somethings.
Sounds like you guys are both having closed-minded issues on this. You guys should be more open, more flowing. Sounds like you guys aren't talking to each other. You guys should probably just schedule some time, meet up, and see what you can do together instead of working against each other, being competitive.
Yeah. Why don't you compromise?
Compromise?
Okay.
Huh, I'm always up for good communication.
And I love the sarcasm. Yeah.
It's not sarcasm. I try. And I'm always poo-pooed on. What can I say?
I'm afraid that this project is becoming a problem for us, for our relationship. And I mean, I'm willing to compromise, but are you willing to meet me halfway?
I've always said I had no problem meeting halfway down the middle.
We'll see how that works.
If they're really serious about this comic, they're gonna have to make some really tough choices. MJ is gonna have to give up her consulting assignments. Logan is gonna have to cancel all of his contracts, or most of them. And he's gonna have to give up his, his game nights at the card shop, for sure. And will they both take a pay cut in such a very expensive South Florida? This is gonna be tough.
Hey, babe, look who it is.
Oh, Juan!
Hey, what's
And
going on?
Kevin!
How's it going?
Oh, so nice to see you guys.
Yeah, what's going on?
Everything's fine.
Juan.
Good to see you.
What can I say about Juan? He's a great guy. Pretty funny. Met him not too long ago, I'd say about a year ago. But yeah, he really knows his stuff. He owns a company called Creature Entertainment based out of Hialeah in Florida. And they make comic books and films. Pretty good stuff.
Well, Chastity gave us a call. She said you're working on a comic project and you guys wanted to talk about process.
Yes.
Let's do
So
it.
you're the surprise she was talking about.
Kevin Joseph is one of the founders of Ketchel Comics. He's also one of the writers of Underwars, which is the philosophical study of what happens when you put a monkey in men's tidy whities. It's pretty much a blend of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and South Park.
Chastity called and told us that MJ and Logan wanted to talk comic book process. And when Chastity calls, we answer.
So why comics? Well, between the juxtaposition of images and words, you can put together something, an expression of a story that you want to tell that has no limits. You don't have any budgetary constraints. You don't have any kind of real thing holding you back. You can tell any kind of story. You can tell a comedy, you can tell a drama, you can tell whatever you want to do. And it can all come together, and the only limit is pretty much the imagination of yourself, your partners, and your skill.
Thank you so much, guys, for being here.
Thank you for letting us barge in.
So we've been working on a one-shot. That's what it's called, right? Yeah, I've been learning about comic book terminology.
Teach her the lingo.
Because as you can imagine, it's shorter, it's easier, or so I've been told.
It's finishable.
Yeah, you can get there to the end. It's not a huge hulking thing that you gotta climb.
So when you say the end, how many pages are we talking about?
Well, it all depends. I mean, industry standard is what, 18?
18 to 24, depending on what your story goes. You can go up to 32 if you have to, but you never want to go over 32 because then your printing costs skyrocket.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not all story, because sometimes you have your cover, your self cover. You might have sketches in the back that you want to show, or a letter, or something like that. You know, there's always those extras also.
Okay.
Is that the modern standard? Because I remember back when I was young, one shot seemed to be much longer.
Well, if you're doing a graphic novel to be sold for 8, 9, 10, I mean, maybe you can do that, but I would say for a first one shot, consider it one issue of a comic book. So that's where I'd stay in that 18 to 24 page
And that's a
range.
comfortable end because of the price point, and then people are willing to invest in that. Like, people are like, all right, I'll pick this one up, read it. If I dig it, I'll come back for more.
Okay.
So what would you guys say would be an average price for a one shot around that size?
It'll be what? $3.99 is the standard comic book price.
Right.
And I wouldn't, I mean, if it's 24 pages, I wouldn't go over $3.99.
Okay.
I mean, if it's
Yeah.
32, you can go to $4.99. That could be, you know, one way, but yeah, I would stay in that area.
Just, you're not doing this to make money, you're doing this to get your art out into the world.
Right.
Yes.
So that maybe your next books could possibly make money. So just try to find a way to break even.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm glad he brought up money, because we've been talking about the different aspects we're thinking we should be talking about, but we have absolutely no idea where to actually start. So we were hoping maybe you, as the experts in the field, could tell us, how do we start?
Hey, we're being called experts.
There's a first time for everything. I'm just going to take it and appreciate it. You start with your story. What story do you guys want to tell? Have you gotten that far in the process?
We have a couple on the table, yeah, definitely.
That's it. Like,
Yeah.
you bandy back and forth. You talk about what your story is, what gets you excited? Now, I understand you as a writer and you as an artist. What story excites you as a writer, and what story excites you as an illustrator, and then you just work together to bring that to life.
Yeah, because you got sometimes people that have like the 1,000-page multi-generation saga and everything else, and you can argue it like Star Wars or something like that. That's a huge saga. There's a lot to it. But if you just show me how somebody fixed a land speeder and this little like thing, that's kind of cool in itself. I want to read that. You know, so just show me a glimpse of this, and it's something you want to explore later on. That's fine, but if not, just satisfy a theme that you want to go after.
So, how do you guys collaborate? Not necessarily with each other. I don't know if you've done any joint projects, but we're terrified of working together because we're both strong-headed, and we're afraid that this project might ruin the relationship.
Oh, nothing ends on marriage like comic books.
Sweet!
Yeah.
I've got thousands of them. I haven't ruined anything yet.
I mean, it's trite, but just like I consider my comic book collaborations like other marriages. It's communication.
Yeah.
It's keeping lines of communication open at all times, and being willing to listen to the other person, not necessarily.
It's give and take.
Yeah.
It's give and take, you know? Because you might write a scene and you think you love it, but you also put like chain link fence and a 1967 Camaro and a this and a that, and he has to draw that. And he's like, why do I got to draw this stuff? And maybe it services the story. You're totally like, this is got the chain link fence, but you know how hard it is to draw a chain link fence?
Do you know how hard it is to draw a chain link fence? Especially,
you know? And by the same token, there might be a process where it says it's an elaborate set of drawings, and you might be like, man, phoning it in, and you're just like, kind of like, okay, wheelbarrow here, you know, whatever.
This guy really sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
So you've got a writer and a writer-artist. So he's always got the art in his mind. It's talking back and forth. And I'm going to steal this from Neil Gaiman. He says when there's an argument, you go with whoever feels the most passionate about it. That doesn't mean to pretend to be passionate to get your way. But it does mean if it really, really matters to one person and it sort of matters to the other, you kind of give it up to the other person and you put it in your pocket for next time.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the thing is to convince the other person of that purview. Like if it's something that you want to do, you want to do this scene or this happens or etc. Convince the other person because you really believe in that. You believe as a reader and everything. Because as much as you guys are novices to comics, I mean, in making comics, you're not novices to comics.
Right.
You've read comics, you know what you like, you know what you want. So you guys know what what turns you on, you know, and what to go after.
Well, that answers that. Well, we'll certainly try. I don't know.
So I'll definitely make the pretty pictures.
Make the pretty pictures and give each other space to work too.
This is your first book too, and I say this to students of mine and everybody. Your first book's gonna suck. It's supposed to. It should. If you're a genius out of the gate, then there's something there's something wrong. It should almost suck a little bit, but you're gonna be happy because you're gonna get it done.
Okay.
Just to hold that finished product in your hand. That's what I really look forward to. I just want my own comic just to hold, to see, to smell, because that new comic book smell is great.
Oh yeah, the printing
So and
ink
then seeing all my artwork on the cover, no matter how the story is on the inside.
I promise you this though, you won't think it sucks until you've done your fourth comic.
Yeah.
When you go back to it, then you're gonna go, oh my gosh, I
get
missed
it.
this. Oh my gosh, I should have drawn that. But when you read that first comic, it's like a gift from God. Like I can't believe this happened. And then 2 years later, you're doing your fourth or fifth one. I'm like, I cannot believe I chose that. What was I thinking?
You know what? I could actually see that because on my channel for Red Bandana Gaming, I look at my newer videos and then I look at my older videos and I just go, oh, what was I doing? Yeah, so
it's growing.
So I can.
And that's a good thing.
understand
That's
that.
a good thing to have. That means you're growing, you're getting there. It should be like that.
I can definitely picture the final step where we're holding the comic book and we're happy and proud or
bloody.
but I'm still trying to picture the process that is there. I work with a lot of writing clients because, as you know, I run Happy OK. It's a writing practice where I teach people how to become better writers, and usually I can tell them, you start here and you finish here. Day 1 do this, day 2 do this, and I help them plan their writing. But I'm so new to comic books that I can't really picture it. Who decides the rhythm? What is reasonable in terms of a schedule? Let's say that we wanted to start tomorrow. What are we looking at in terms of timeline and all that good stuff?
Longer than you imagine. Don't expect to get this done quickly. Expect this to be a long process where you're just putting one foot in front of the other, because even an artist who is working full-time getting big money at best is going to do 1 page a day.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Kirby, being everybody knows, he did 4 pages a day of just pencils.
That's crazy.
And that's crazy. That's why he was the king. Nobody does that now. Like, nobody, you would think that, no, because it's very hard to get that artwork out. It depends on how demanding this is. Getting the script done. And now you're working together, and it'll be funny if by page 8, by page 10, you both say, hey, this isn't working out, or you get, or worse, you get a better idea. And that happens too, because a long enough process happens, time happens, you get a better idea, like, let's go this way instead. And that's fine too, as long as you're willing to do it. Like, you know what, we're going to sacrifice these 3 pages to redo it. But yeah, you can talk, I mean, if you were diligent every day, do it, 2 months. But I doubt that, because life gets in the way.
Yeah.
You know, we don't live in a vacuum. You know, this is your first time, you're going to mess up, you know. And then there's all the processes: penciling, inking, lettering. If you're gonna color it, you're coloring it, then putting it together for pre-press before you send it to the printer. Spell proofing it. You know, you gotta go through it. I mean, nothing is worse than bad spelling, and you can't ignore any of the process. You can't shortcut it, because, like, bad lettering, like, that's like the first sign of being an amateur. You know, like, you can't. A lot of people be like, letters. You know, he said stuff. There's a sound effect, and then you see it. It's like, it looks bad.
Yeah. It's a squadoosh.
Yeah.
I mean, if they got this done in 6 months, they should be proud, right?
Yeah. Pat on the back.
Yeah.
For our first book.
So don't expect this to be done next month. Expect this to be an adventure over the next half a year or a year.
Yeah.
And it's fine. You don't have a publisher breathing down your neck. Just make the best comic you can.
Yeah.
And give it to the world when it's done.
And diligence. It's just diligence. Sometimes you look, all right, you're not going to be able to do that page today because you got your job, you got this, you got that, so-and-so's visiting, so-and-so, da-da-da, you got to go out. You have to have time for yourself to take care of yourself. But okay, I'm gonna finish this panel today. I'm gonna color in all the darks and blacks on this page. Or you do a little bit of, same thing with the writing. So you know what, that dialogue wasn't working out right. I'm going to go back and at least today figure out that dialogue, and you can mull it in your head.
You know, my comic book Morte, the silent one that Source Point Press put out, the artist woke up an hour early and drew 1 panel a day. It took him almost a year to draw.
Oh, well.
But he did a panel a day, waking up at 4 a.m. before he went off to college, and I have a comic book. So it is just one step, then the next step, and don't get down on yourself.
I did Zombie Years, and that was a page a week comic that I produced. I've done that for 10 years, and I have 10 issues.
Now, do you guys have the same people doing the pencils and the inks and the colors? Because in our situation, that would be me. I would be doing all of that.
Well, it's always, you know, it all depends on what you can afford and what you can get. If you get somebody to color your work, that's great. Got to find somebody that can fit. If you have a staff, that's great too. If it's yourself, like I do all my chores, then you got to figure what you can't do. Like, I'm not a good colorist. So if I have something colored, I send it out to get colored. I have 2 or 3 people that I can contact and be like, work on it.
Let me piggyback on what you just said. So I know you both are writers. You're a writer and an artist. Tell me a little bit about your own publishing experience. Do you do it yourself? Do you have a publisher breathing down your neck? Kevin, go.
Well, I'll go first because I'm actually a lot smaller than Juan is with
Physically.
I'm much smaller physically. Now, basically, Catch-All Comics is a group that I put together when we started out with a publisher that didn't work out for us. Juan knows the story. I I like to say it didn't work out, and we decided that we loved our book enough that we wanted to keep going. So Catch-All Comics is a desperation project for me. I have a book I love, I need it out, and guess what? For it to be out, I'm gonna have to publish it for myself. But we're not a big company, we're not in Diamond for distribution. So what I'm trying to do is build an audience with my books and find publishers that will take it worldwide. So Tart's actually going to go with Scout Comics starting in January of 2020. So Catch-All is going to give that away. Underwars is still under ours. When I did my one-shot Morte, I put it around, and thankfully the first publisher said, yes, we'll do it, and that was SourcePoint Press. So for me, it kind of looks like a vanity project, but it's more desperation. As a writer, I got to get the books out. I want to be Stan Lee the writer, not Stan Lee the publisher. But this is the guy who has like.
And he's being super modest because he's been at every show. We shared a booth together at San Diego Comic-Con. He's always hitting the pavement. He's always out there. He's doing it as people should do it. Is engage. And that's the thing that has happened. We do the same thing as a publisher and as a house, but we are a collective. Like, so we're a studio collective. So our studio, which is behind our comic book shop, Goblin's Heist, like the one we have is like we have about 5 artists that work there in the house, and then we have like 3 others that come in and out. But it's not daily. It's sometimes once a day. Most people work in their own studios and everything, and we work on different projects. A lot of artists have their own projects going on. Some work for some of the big companies. Some work for like indies. I myself do stuff like on occasion for Image, and we have other guys that will do Marvel, we do DC, but we come back and work on our projects. And right now for the year 2019, we've actually not been doing too much except for myself. I've been working on Tommy, which I've been doing for a couple of years, but most of us have been taking a big break because 2020 we're going to go into it again. And we already knew, like, get everything out of your system. We're got to go back into it,
And by the way, Morte, Tommy, really good books. We do have.
Awesome.
This week on Comic Sand, Logan and MJ had a very sobering chat with Juan and Kevin, 2 experts in comic book creation. Tune in next week as they dig deeper into the process.